everyone, and welcome to another episode of Real Progress. My name is Fernanda Martinez-Donaus, and I am the Executive Director and host, and I am here with Jen and Vero today. And I am so excited for our episode, so thank you all so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having us.
So we usually like to start our episodes by having the guests introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and in your case, also what brought you together.
Yeah, so my name is Jennifer. I go by Jen. I am an immigrant to this country. I was actually born in Mexico. Moved over here when I was a little girl. I was about to turn 7 years old.
Okay.
I have a degree in psychology and in social work. I graduated from what was then UTB, UTRGV now. And I worked out in the field for a little bit, and then I quit and I started my own business. And then actually while I was in college, I met Vero, who is my wife. We've been married for 11 years now.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And yeah, so in 2016, we started our own company, JZD, and we've been doing that for almost 10 years now.
10 years, yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So that's a little bit about me.
Yeah. And I'm Veronica Vasquez. I am the eldest of three, Brownsville born and raised. Been here my whole life. I have a degree in law and justice studies, and I took about 7 years to be able to get that degree. It took me a little longer than it was supposed to. I didn't take the conventional route. Mexican American, first generation, and started our business with my wife in 2016. She started it. I didn't go full time with JZD until 2018. 19?
19 maybe.
I think it was 19.
And you mentioned you were the first employee, right?
I was the first employee. I was working, doing my full-time job, and then coming home to help her with everything that she was doing. And that's a little bit of a gist of us.
Right. So thank you for sharing. And I'm interested in how your upbringing in Brownsville, right? How your experiences growing up here, because I know even though you moved here when you were 7, most of your life has now been here. How that's impacted or shaped the way that you all engage both in business, but also just in the goals that you set for yourselves and the things you do.
Yeah, I mean, being in Brownsville and being a border town is what set the tone for our company. I think that because we are so full of culture here and we hear Spanish every single day, we hear Spanglish as normal as it can be. Like it's not ever a weird thing for us. And we don't even realize when we're doing it or speaking in Spanglish until somebody else that is not familiar calls it out and is like, what are you talking about? For us, we don't even realize when we're switching from one language to another. And all of that plays such a huge impact in our company. It played a huge impact in how we were raised, and till this day, how we essentially do everything. I think it's a beautiful thing to be in the Valley. It's a beautiful thing to be a border town and to have a mix of those cultures.
It's a completely different experience.
Yeah, and also having the privilege of being able to get an education, at least for me, to have an education here in the United States. Like that's what my parents wanted. And so I don't take that for granted. And I know the sacrifices that they made so that I could speak English. Actually, my dad named me Jennifer. Because
on purpose.
Yeah, because he had a goal for us to come live here one day, and he didn't want other people to not be able to say my name. Now I wish that he would have given me like the most Mexican name out there,
what
so
was
that I could
your dream alternate name?
I don't know, but I wish it was something like Roberta or
that would have been a
Renata.
I would have loved that. Yeah,
you know, like with
the strong R.
Yeah. But no, he named me Jennifer because he didn't want people to not be able to say my name.
And that's real, right? That's a fear that I think a lot of parents have, not just in terms of naming their kids, but is my kid going to be able to succeed in X, Y, or Z context? And we're in a very specific space here, right? A lot of what you're talking about in terms of Spanglish and the dialect and how normal it is. So it's interesting also that he had the forethought of like, this is what I want and this is where we're going. So this is how I'm going to prepare them for that. I came across JZD probably when y'all were early on. I'm thinking back now. It was around 2017, and I think what stood out to me was that aspect of this is the first brand company I've seen that really represents my experience and encapsulates that,
Yeah.
and does it in a way that didn't feel cheesy.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all have seen those memes of like when Netflix throws in Spanish.
Yes.
It's a little
And
cringe.
it's so bad because you can tell that it's not someone who actually like is
Yeah.
from either a border community or a immigrant community in some way, shape, or form, and understands the pattern and the dialect. So I'm really impressed by the way that y'all always make things that I'm like, oh yeah, that is exactly how I would say it.
You know, it's an actual skill.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Where
it's an art form, really.
but also when we switch, it's because our minds find the shorter word when we're speaking Spanglish. So you'll replace either to Spanglish or to English the shorter word. And people that don't fluently speak Spanglish will just replace any random word,
Yeah.
and it doesn't make sense to somebody that actually speaks Spanglish,
Yeah.
which is what happens with like Netflix or when you go to like a big box store and you see a random phrase that makes no sense. It's because they don't have somebody on their team that is fluent in Spanglish.
That you
Third
said it's an
language.
art form.
It truly is. Like, sometimes I catch myself saying things in Spanglish, and right now I can't come up with something, but I'm like, wow, that sounds good. Like, that sounds exactly like what I was intending to express, but I wouldn't have been able to do it in English, and I wouldn't have been able to do it fully in Spanish. So I always tell Jen that we know a third language. We know English, we know Spanish, and we know Spanglish.
Yeah.
And honestly, when we started, everybody thought that our business was in California. Even then, they were kind of
interesting.
taking that away from the Valley.
Yeah.
Because I know there's Spanglish everywhere,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But I feel like Valley Spanglish,
It's specific.
it's specific, it's special, it's different. You know, it's 956 to its core. So yeah, at the beginning, that's what they thought. They were like, oh, we
Yeah.
didn't know you guys. We thought you guys had left to California, or we thought your business was in California. And we were like, no, this Spanglish is from here.
I had a Spanish teacher recently on the podcast because we're recording a few Spanish episodes, and we were talking about this because one of the things I learned while I was in college was that linguists do see Spanglish as its own language because it has its own, like you said, right? There are specific patterns, grammar, syntax to it, and even within it, there are dialects. So there's California Spanglish, Arizona Spanglish, Texas Spanglish, right? There's all these different. Puerto Rican Spanglish is its own beast.
Yeah.
And so it's really interesting because it feels like something that we just absorb naturally and we're so good at it, and you know, it's so unique to us. But that idea of like, you can't replicate this, right? No matter how hard you try, if you don't really understand it, if you haven't lived it, you're just not gonna get it.
Yeah.
One of the things we talked about a little bit in our precursor to this was that we're all firstborns, right? Or occupy a space where we're only children. And I'm curious about how your experience growing up as part of whatever family dynamic that you had impacted both how you run the business, how you do things, or the career choices that you made.
Yeah, well, I'm the eldest.
Okay.
So I'm the oldest of three. I was born to teen parents. My dad was a freshman as a 18-year-old.
Okay.
My mom finished her education in Matamoros.
Okay.
All they had was a high school education. Well, my dad only had freshman year for a couple of years. And my dad he was one of those kids that would be in Mexico and come over here. He had spent most of his schooling in Mexico, in Matamoros. And then it had got to a point where he had to come to school here, which is why he had such difficulty. So his English was also not great. He knew the basics. He had a really thick accent.
That's a hard time.
Yeah, my mom did not know English either. She knew English because of Madonna. She knew a couple of things here and there, and that was it. So when little me starts school, they're like, what the heck is this? What do you mean the kid has to go to pre-K? What do you mean we have meetings? So for me, I was the guinea pig. It was really, we'll figure it out, hijita.
Mm-hmm.
And then the moment my dad was like, oh, you know how to read? I'm having trouble at work. Can you read? My dad's a truck driver. Unionized. He worked for Roadway. Now the company doesn't exist.
Okay.
So there was a union, and I was a Teamster since I was 5, 6 years old.
Oh my goodness.
So
That's an experience. To grow up in a union family is
Yeah.
already an experience in and of itself, but to be at those meetings and to be a part of it.
Yeah. So my dad, he did what he had to do to feed our family. We're a family of 5. He would get in trouble at work, or something was done wrong, or somebody tried to do something wrong, and I'll give it to my dad. He never stood down, a fight or whatever, but he didn't know how to defend himself. So we had this little blue Teamsters Bible. I called it the Bible, because I was like, well, this is where they tell us if they can fire you or not, or what's going to happen. So for me, I had the weight of the world on me from a very young age.
So you were reading that.
I was reading that. I was not reading
Dr. Seuss.
Dr. Seuss. I was not reading that Red Llama.
Translating.
Yeah, and I was translating as well. And my parents are hustlers. My dad, I have to give it to him. He was a hustler. He had to figure out a way to feed the family, and we were also janitors. So I was a janitor. I was a truck driver. I was the head of the household. I was the translator. I was everything. So I feel like that's a dynamic for a lot of the eldest kids in Mexican or Latino households. So the moment that they realized, oh, she likes to read, cool. She knows how to read.
Great.
Amazing. She doesn't really need much help with things, or it's not that I didn't need help. It was just I don't know who to ask for help. So they took that as independence. They saw that I was independent. They were like, okay, you can handle everything. So there was just a lot of expectation always. Parents are always like, well, you're going to be an attorney or you're going to be a doctor because you already know how to read all these things. So ¿por qué no?
That was something that you heard from a young age.
Yeah, from a very young age. So it was a lot of stress, I didn't get to be a kid. There was not a chance of like, well, I want to read for the joy of reading. Or my friends just got the Harry Potter book. Can I
read the Harry Potter book instead of the Bible?
Yeah, can I go to the library and get that book rather than having to get, what I got for a birthday? My dad bought me a dictionary to
translate.
The little red,
that hurts.
tiny one. That I got that one year, and he was so excited. And I was like, "This is not a gift for me, my guy. That's a gift for you." But yeah, it's.
And then your siblings came around.
And then my siblings came around, and it was taking care of them. Having helped them with homework because my middle name is Jacqueline. For some reason, the middle name stayed with my family, so it was Jackie this, Jackie that, Jackie. So go ask Jackie. Jackie will help you with your homework. Jackie will teach you how to read. Jackie will teach you how to write. Jackie will teach you. So
a lot of weight and a lot of expectation.
Yeah, and then it was, well, you also have to excel in what you're doing. You need to bring the A's to this.
It's not good enough to already be doing all of these things. We also need.
Yeah. You get a computer and you're trying to learn how to use a computer as a kid, and it's like you don't get to really just learn to learn. It's like they haven't paid us for us cleaning that office from a week ago. I need you to send an invoice. So to tie that in to our business now, guess who takes care of invoicing?
Jen said, "You're an expert."
Yeah, you have all this experience.
Literally, and sending emails at such a young age. There's people in corporations from Roadway Express, which was $1 billion company in its day, and they were getting emails from an 8-year-old. They were literally getting.
You're
emails.
that person that they're like, you need to have 20 years of experience at.
She had
30.
that.
I was born
real early on.
I was born. Yeah, no, it was a lot of pressure, and I also feel like that was a lot of what I learned in my childhood and in my home life. I learned the things that I didn't like, and I learned the things that I could do differently.
Yeah,
and I've applied it in every aspect of my life.
That's really important.
And I've included in our marriage, in our business, in everything. And in the business, do I enjoy sending emails? Are they like, yes?
Emails are my favorite thing.
No, but I know how to do it.
Yeah.
Thanks to the experience that I got. I mean, it was a sucky thing to have to do at such a young age, but it did prepare me for life.
Yeah.
So I don't back out from a challenge ever because of that. And that's just the gist of what home life was. And yeah, it was a learning experience, I guess.
I think it's very relatable. I have distinct memories of setting up our internet at home.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have it for a long time. I guess we didn't need it, and then we had to set it up. And my parents taught me to pretend to be them on the phone in order to get things. Because I learned early on, if I was like, I'm her daughter, they're like, we're not talking to you. Like,
Yeah.
hang up. And so being like, I'm so and so, my mom's name.
I still do that.
And I still do it. And I've, in the past few years, we've gotten a little bit better. I've taught them how to like use ChatGPT a little bit more and do some things, because I do feel bad when I'm like, this was also a disservice to you, because now that I can't just always be around, it's a little harder for you to do the things too. But it definitely teaches you all these skills that I was like, I didn't even realize how unusual this skill set is at the age that we developed it.
Yeah.
And it comes from that, right? From our lived experiences.
Exactly. I mean, with JZD, like I told you all the time, I became too important here.
She says that all the time.
But
is it
I'm
Yeah.
I'm the
Like,
IT person.
The better she is at her job, the more she's like, why am I so good at this? Because then
literally.
she's more needed.
It doesn't allow me to humble myself, really.
Do you want to?
I don't know.
No.
But I'm the IT girl. I'm, invoice the clients, read the contracts, because I was literally reading a Teamsters union book as a child. So I'm like, I know what you're trying to do.
This is second nature.
Yeah. So yeah, no, it definitely is a good skill set to have.
Yeah, I definitely feel like obviously it was not the ideal experience to not be allowed to be a kid and do normal kid things, run around, have fun, read Dr. Seuss instead of these books that she was reading. But I also think it made her way more confident because she has that. So now if we are negotiating, she has absolutely no trouble being like, that is a sucky offer. Like, I know we need more.
And it drives her up the wall.
And for
Does it make you nervous?
It makes me so nervous.
Okay.
Like, I hate when we have like negotiation, anything, whether it's an email, like they're not even in front of me. I will not open the email.
Yeah.
I won't. Like, it just gives me so much anxiety.
That's hard.
And it is like it's a whole thing that I'm working on. But just like seeing our self-worth and how much we deserve, especially because a lot of the times we are in these spaces that we are the only queer people or we are the only brown people in the room, and you're negotiating with people that don't look like you, that have a completely different background.
Yeah.
They have a completely different education than you. They're using terminology you've never heard before. And now with experience, we've gotten better. But in the early stages, when we were approaching these opportunities that were bigger than anything we had experienced before, it was extremely nerve-wracking because we didn't have a background in that. And I always go back to this, like, our education level was never more clear when you're speaking to people that are outside of our bubble. And how much we have to work 2 times as hard to get half as far.
Yeah.
I mean, and we're already having to work 10 times harder just because we are queer, we're brown. And then you add on that you're in these spaces with white people that have gotten way better educations than we have, that it's like, God damn, I'm tired.
One of my favorite quotes to share with our students at the start of, we do cycles, right? So at the start of the school year, I don't know if y'all have seen Stand and Deliver. It's the movie about the kids in California who were trying to fight for AP.
Oh no. Stand and Deliver, not that other one.
For AP calculus in the 70s. And they didn't want to let this brown school, this Mexican school, have AP calculus. And so, and it's based off of a true story. And Mr. Escalante is one of my great inspirations. And he comes in and he's like, you already have 2 strikes against you.
Yeah.
Your last name and the color of your skin. We're not going to let math be the 3rd. Right. And I just always find that so powerful because he understood then that we're already working on an uphill battle.
Yeah.
And education can add to the difficulty of that journey, or it can help. Right. And so, and eventually they get their AP calculus. They do really great. It's amazing. But we share this with our students because I think sometimes it's not, like y'all said, it's not something you see or you realize until you're in those rooms.
Yeah.
And you have the comparison in front of you and you're like, what do you mean that your parents were business people too? So they taught you this from the time you were 10 at the dinner table, right? And maybe I got that in a different way, right? Maybe I had a different experience and access, but it is very obvious, right? And it is very clear that there's kind of disparities there. You talked, Vero, a little bit about how you were kind of always told that you should be a lawyer or a doctor. I want to know how you all started thinking even about college, if that was a thought process, and simultaneously about careers and what you might want to study if you were going to go to college.
Yeah. So in my household, college was always a given. I had to go to college. It was never, I don't think we ever had a conversation where there was an option of.
It's just an expectation.
I didn't get to pick. It was just like, you're going to college. And I grew up being told that. And so it wasn't a surprise when it was like junior year and I had to apply to colleges. I was like, okay, we're here now. But I am an only child. And so my upbringing was a little different than Vero's. And I was kind of built up to be this like a confident person. And I went to UTB. I graduated in 2014. I actually had a full ride, which was back then called the UTB Scholars.
Okay.
I don't think it's a thing anymore. Scorpion Scholars. There you go. It was Scorpion
Not
Scholars.
exactly Scorpion Scholars, but there are similar
There's
programs.
an option. Yeah. So I was a Scorpion Scholar. So that was ideal, right? Because I didn't have to worry about paying for school. And so when I was really little, I actually was really good at arguing and debating.
You still got it, I guess.
And so I wanted to be an attorney.
Okay.
And then for a little bit, I wanted to be a vet when I was a little kid. And then I realized that you had to do surgery on these animals. And I was like, I am not doing that.
Yep.
So I changed my mind. And then I wanted to be a teacher. But then my dad actually graduated from college when I was probably like in middle school.
Okay.
My dad became a teacher. He did second grade his whole career. He's retired now. And I realized I did not want to be a teacher after seeing him in the field. I was like, I don't think I want to do that. And then in high school, I started to take an interest in therapy and counseling. Okay. And I decided I wanted to go into marriage counseling. And so I went to school for psychology.
That's so specific for a high schooler. Okay.
I know. It was a weird time. I was a weird little teenager. And I went to therapy, I think it was like my sophomore year.
Okay.
And I had gone to therapy like several times throughout my life, but I went, I think it was sophomore year. And the therapist that I had gone to did this exercise that is forever like burned into my mind. So he had me sit down on the couch, right? And then he gave me a piece of paper and he was like, write everything that is stressing you out, that you, whatever is in your mind that you don't want it to be, like, write it down. I write it down and I'm like clueless as to what this exercise is, right? And I'm writing everything down and then he's like, okay, you're done. Sit up, crumple the piece of paper, and he had a trash bin, like a fairly sized trash bin. And he's like, throw it in the trash bin. From where I was at. And he made me do it until I hid it into the bin. And he was like, now everything's gone. And you don't have to worry about it because you have thrown it into the trash.
Did it work?
It did. It
was like,
did.
So skeptical. This is.
I know. And
I was like, I'm cured.
Well, after that, he like explained the process of how I had to visualize it. And so he was like, you have to visualize it. He gave me that alternate, like throw it, or he was like, picture it in a bottle. Like if you're putting it in a bottle, like a message in a bottle, and then throw it out into the sea and then just watch it float away. Okay. And so you're supposed to visualize these things that are causing you whatever emotion kind of leave your body because you have now let them exit you. And I was so intrigued by therapy from that moment on. And then I don't know, somehow it like turned into like marriage counseling by the time I was a junior. And senior year, I was like, I want to be a marriage counselor, which back then, I don't even know what the degree is called now, but it was called marriage and family counseling.
Yes.
Yeah. And so that was my intention when I went in to university. I got an associate's in social work first because it was, you know, the first, I don't know, it was a part of the curriculum, or my advisor recommended it. Yeah, because you can get a job with your associate's degree, right? Mm-hmm. So I did that, and then I continued on, and then my junior year of college, I was like, I want to switch my major. Like my second semester of my junior year.
Okay.
I was about to finish, and I was like, I want to have a degree in journalism. I don't want to do this anymore. Mind you, I had thoroughly enjoyed my classes in psychology. I had Dr. Wood, who was an amazing professor. Mm-hmm. I had Dr. Davis. They were amazing professors that have, till this day, like I still remember bits of information that they would tie into therapy. Mm-hmm. I had Dr. Reed, who was one of my favorite professors. And it wasn't because I didn't like psychology. It's because I had learned that in order for me to make a living with a psychology degree, I was going to have to get a master's.
Yes.
Like there wasn't going to be as many job opportunities for me here in the Valley mm-hmm. with just a bachelor's of arts in psychology. And I was like, this is not what I thought it was going to be. Because you know how they tell you, like, start looking for what job you could have with this degree. And I was looking at the salaries and I was like, this sucks.
That's something that I think it's a disservice to students how little we have them think about their careers in the sense of fitting into their life goals.
Yes.
Something we have our students do. There's this website called Texas Reality Check. I don't know if y'all have heard of it. It's very fun. It's also a little bit stressful if you're like, I have expensive taste. But basically it walks students through going and clicking like what city do you want to live in? What kind of house do you want to have? What kind of car do you want to have? Yeah. What do you want to have a family? How many kids? And it like literally puts all of it in there, and then it brings out based on today's money, how much you need to make in order to sustain that lifestyle. And then my favorite part is it also gives you careers that make that amount of money. Yeah. And it's a really long list, because really you can find a career that suits your income needs in any field. It just depends on the level, right? And I think that's what you were talking about with like the BA psychology is maybe not going to get you the same salary that you need for whatever taste you have.
Wanted. In no world was that going to happen. Yeah. It just wasn't. And I was like, I realized that I needed to get a master's degree, and then I needed to, the only way to do it was to have my own practice.
Yes.
And so I was old enough at that point. I also think it's unfair to be like 17 years old
and figuring this out.
Yeah. And so I kind of gave myself grace, and I was like, I was 17, and do I like therapy? Sure, I can go to therapy and still get that experience without being the one that's not getting paid enough for this, because I wasn't going to be a therapist with a bachelor's in psychology.
No,
I was going to have to continue my schooling. And so I kind of got to the point of, is this what I want to do with my life? Do I love it enough to go and get a master's degree and take the state exam and wait enough, probably years, until I was financially stable enough to open up my own practice? And the answer was no. So I did that. I checked what I wanted to do with my life. I didn't do it the way you said it, like super meticulously.
That would have been really nice to have.
That would have been really nice. But I spent a summer in Paris, and I realized there was so much more that I wanted. And so I came back and I was like, what is going to give me that?
Okay.
And so I somehow landed in journalism, because I was like, I will be able to travel with journalism. Mind you, I was still like, I don't know, 19, 20 years old.
Still not 19. A career that's super secure going to give you the income you wanted.
Yeah. I did. She told me
I told her.
We were friends at this point, and she's like, I don't want to do psychology anymore. And I was like, cool. Like, I was being a supportive friend. I was like, what do you want to do now? I want to be a journalist. I was like,
it feels like a lateral move.
She actually, no, she actually told me not to do it, and I ended up not switching my major.
Not because of me, though. It wasn't me.
No, everybody told me not to do it.
Well,
including my advisors.
And junior year is a little late.
Yes.
Right. So
that's what I was telling her, because I hadn't graduated yet. Like, I was still like on my second year of college, and I was older. I'm 2 years older than her, 2 years and a half, and I was like, bro, you're about to graduate.
You're
just
so close.
Do it. Like, graduate, and then from there you can figure it out. But because that was where I was coming from. I was like, it's taking me years
And
to
my
do it.
advisor said the same thing. She was like, you're too far in. Just finish it. And if you really hate it, you'll come back.
Yeah.
And you already have your basics done and you'll be able to continue your education. And so I didn't switch my major. And I ended up getting a degree in psychology in 2014. And then, sure enough, I got a job that was within that degree. And I wasn't getting paid what I wanted to be getting paid. And it wasn't what I wanted to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
But of course I loved my education, and we were just talking about it in the car. It still gave me so many tools that I use today. And I don't regret getting a degree in psychology. I still love psychology, and I still apply so many of the things that I learned. But I don't know.
You might have picked a different path if you'd had more information earlier.
For sure. I mean, I went to therapy once and I was like, yeah, let's go into therapy.
Yeah, I just feel like for us at least, like, not that we're like extremely old, but I just don't feel like in school they really told us like these are the things that you can do to sustain yourself later on in life. It was just go get a degree. And it's like, yeah, but I'm 18 years old, I'm 17 years old. I don't even know who I am.
I think it also, like, we could tie in the conversation that we don't ever talk about finances in our culture.
Yeah.
And nobody ever told, at least me, like, how much do you want to be getting paid?
Yeah. It's from the educator perspective, I wholeheartedly agree. And I think it's one of the conversations around, I'm the tail end of millennials, right? But a lot of us got this, if you go to college, it will all work out.
Yeah.
And
Nice.
there's the hope that they had, that a lot of these people had, of like, no, they genuinely believed this, right? This wasn't coming from a bad place. It was just misguided and misinformed.
Yeah.
And I think that idea of like, you're 17 and you're expected to figure out the world, and you know this, your brain's not fully cooked at that point, right? You haven't figured it out yet. You don't have the ability.
Mush in there. It's not. It is not ready. It's not prepared. It's not.
That conversation around finances, one of the things I realized, I always wanted to be a teacher, and I was discouraged from it by family members and people around me because they're like, you're not going to make enough money. I was like, let me sit down and figure out what's enough, because I think that that's also on both ends of the spectrum. Either people are sold on a career that's not actually going to provide them with the lifestyle they want, or people are discouraged from careers being like, you're not going to be able to make a living. You're not going to be able to get something out of that. And in reality, my teacher salary my first year teaching was the combined income of my parents after 20 years at their jobs. And so in my head, I was like, if my parents could make it work for as long as they did, that's enough for me too, right? I can figure it out. I can make it work. It might not mean I'm, jet setting around the world and I'm living in luxury, but I really like this career and I really want to figure out a way to be in it.
Yeah.
I'll be able to adjust and I'll be able to figure it out. I'd rather live within my means and a budget and doing these things than doing a career I don't like, right? And so that's also something that is in that balance.
Yeah.
And I know, Vero, you mentioned legal studies, and it took you a while to finish your degree.
Yeah. So I got my associates in paralegal studies.
Okay.
I could work with that.
Yes.
And paralegals make
decent money.
So I had my associates already, which is part of the reason why it also took me so long to get my bachelor's, because I got my associates a year and a half into like school, and I was a 19-year-old working in the law office
and making good money for a 19-year-old.
Yeah, like I was like, this is good, and I could pay my mom's bills. I would pay bills at the house. My sister wanted things for my sister. My brother, my sister, and I were 4 years apart. So my brother's 8 years for me. So they were both in school, and my parents literally had no extra money for anything. They were a little irresponsible. And my sister needed things for dance. Sisters got it. My brother needed things for band. Sisters got it. They need new shoes. I had to go through so many things. Like, I had shoes that had holes on them, and I had to show up to school with them, and I had to act like it was cool when it really
on
wasn't.
purpose. Yeah.
It really wasn't. Like, it was wet outside and my feet were wet. Like, I needed shoes. It was cold. It doesn't really get cold here, but when it did get cold,
No, that's not.
I had to use my dad's jacket. My dad is like a 2XL, and I was in like 6th grade. Tiny little thing.
Swallowed by that.
Yeah, because there was no other option, you know.
So you provided for your
So I
siblings.
provided for my siblings because I was like, I know what it is to not have these things, for people to look at you funny. I was lucky enough that I was like funny and witty, and I was like, I could like take in the blows and be like, can't really do that to me too much. But I was like, I don't know how you guys are handling yourself at school. So I gotta help. And I saw that. I saw money at a young age, which was not even a lot because I was 19 and these people were taking advantage of the fact you just got out of school. It's just an associate's and this should be enough for you. So that's why it took so long. And then because I took so long, degrees changed and I restarted school. And then they were like, well, now we offer a bachelor's in paralegal studies. And I was like,
they changed universities while we
and
were.
then they changed universities in the middle of me finishing.
Y'all had all of the great stuff happening.
Yeah, because it was UTB TSC when we started. And then when I graduated, it was UTB. She was still going to school UTB. And then by the time you graduated, it was UTRGV.
So I went to all of them.
You're super educated.
Yes, super. So then by the time that happens, I go back. I think it's still UTB when I try to go back. They're like in the middle of trying to figure out the UTRGV thing. They're getting rid of Pan Am. Is when it's happening.
Yeah.
And they're like, we have the paralegal studies as a bachelor's. I was like, cool, I'm already working in that. I can bump up my salary. Cool, let's do it. And then in the middle of that, I think a semester, and they're like, that doesn't exist anymore.
They just got rid of your entire major, and they didn't even do the grandfathering it where you can.
Some of the stuff was able to go in there. It was a whole. I struggled to be able to get my degree. Actually, it was a whole thing. But then that's how I ended up with the legal justice studies, and that's my degree now. But I was already working in the field, and I did the paralegal thing. The reason why I did paralegal is because I was like, I'm gonna do pre.
So we were talking. Yeah. So you were talking about the degree changed.
Yeah, the degree changed so that I did all that. But the reason why I went to the paralegal situation is because since I was told that I was supposed to be either a doctor or an attorney, it was just the right path to do. I was like, oh, this goes in hand with pre-law. I get to dip my feet into doing the work and just go from there. Like, I'm going to eventually go to law school. Mind you, my parents had all these expectations for me to go to school and demanded all these things for me when they themselves didn't have an education and they had no idea what it took to get an education. My parents were like a walking contradiction. They demanded that I be something great, but by the time that high school came around, I always excelled, or tried to excel at school. I liked to learn. So I was always in pre-P, AP classes, dual enrollment, which to them was like, what the heck?
Yeah,
why are you having to stay at school later? And why are you having to do extra projects?
They want you to do it all without putting in the time or the effort.
Without it being an inconvenience to them. That was my experience.
Yeah.
This is me. I of course, I'm very open about it. I come from an abusive household. My dad's an alcoholic, and it was just so much like you need to be great, but you can't be greater than me. You need to do this, but you know, so it was like, what the hell do you want me to do? I'm doing well in school, but somehow that's still not good enough for you guys. I bring you the good grades, but somehow you're still upset about that. So when high school came around, and SAT started happening, all these things, right? I started telling my parents, like, hey, you guys got any money saved up for me to go to school? Because this isn't for free. You know, like, I don't really know, because my dad was a truck driver. And sure, $50,000 a year, that sounds great. But it's a family of 5.
Yeah.
And so that was not like that.
You were making a...
No, and also, again, like, my parents were growing up with me.
Yeah. So they were not necessarily making the best financial decisions.
No, they were like, Disney World on credit cards? Yes. Vámonos.
Oh no.
You know, like, and I'm a
stressed
kid.
just hearing that.
No, literally. I'm 35 years old and I'm like, what the hell were you people thinking? You didn't have money. You didn't know. Like, we came back, sure, we got to go see Mickey, but what are we going to eat now?
Yeah.
You got a new truck? Awesome. Can you pay for the gas? No, you can't.
Yep.
So then I'm like, hey guys, I kind of really do want to go to college. My thing for going to college was I need to get out of here.
So you didn't want to stay.
I didn't want to stay. I was like, I need to run. I need to go the other way.
Mm-hmm.
I can't stay here. It didn't work out for me because there was no money. And I did not have, although I love to be with my counselor, although I love to always be real metiche and be like, well, how did you do this? Or how did you, I still didn't have the tools to be able to do what I wanted to do. I didn't know there was free money. My dad made too much money for me to get financial aid, where to the point where they could pay for things. Like, and then when I did have to do the financial aid papers, the FAFSA, my dad was like, I'm not giving you my income tax. What are you talking about? That's my business. Why would you need that? Like, well, I need to go to school, Dad. You can't pay for it. I'm trying to figure out for a way to pay for it. You're not allowing me. So I missed so many deadlines. Like, it was just so many things stacked against me. And I know that this is the norm, unfortunately, for a lot of kids. Yeah. And when we were speaking the other day and you were telling me all the things that you do for these kids, I'm like, Dad, like, these kids are so lucky. Like, all these things that they get now. Like, I was happy because I got well, how much was it from Gear Up? I think it was like either $100 or $500 from the Gear Up program. And I was like, yes.
Yeah.
Half a book.
And those can make a lot of difference, right? Even those small scholarships. But the process of figuring out how to pay for college, and I think what you're talking about with the mismatch expectations of, and I don't think this is, you said it, right? It's not unique. It's not a unique experience. It's a very common experience, especially in our region, of parents really want their kids to succeed, but they don't necessarily understand how to help them get there or what their role is supposed to be in that. Yeah. And I've gained a lot of empathy for parents through the work that we do because I have seen the side of they don't even know what questions to ask sometimes. They don't even know where to start looking. Yeah. I used to feel, because I grew up, I had a lot of support in the sense that my parents were like, you go, you do, you figure it out. We're right behind you. But it was a lot of you figure it out. We're right behind you. Right. Yeah. And I got very lucky in the path that I ended up taking, that I did have resources and I did have access. But I recognize that it's not as hard as we're making it, right? It's a lot of just, if people only knew, like 70% of people in the Valley, based on income alone, qualify for a full ride at UTRGV. Yeah. Right? Just if you submit your application on time and you submit your FAFSA on time. And when I look at that, I'm like, it doesn't make sense that so many of our students and that so many of the people I talk to have had such a hard time with paying for school, because the numbers that you hear about student debt and the numbers that you hear about how expensive college is don't really apply in our case if you're staying at UTRGV and you're doing things locally. These staggering numbers you hear are if you're in one of the major cities, major universities with the sticker price of $70K a year. But UTRGV is $10,000 a year. And most of that can be covered with financial aid, right? Just financial aid based on income, right? Not even considering merit scholarships or anything else you get. So when I hear the numbers, I'm like, that doesn't make sense. You should have been able to go to college for free, right? But it's a lot of those like, well, I didn't submit on time because my dad didn't understand it.
Yeah, and it's also, I also feel like your society is expecting these 17, 18-year-old kids to figure it out. Like, who do you go to ask? Like, hey, I want to go to college, but my dad kind of sucks and I can't find money. Like, I don't know how to do it. So for me back then, there was like, I'm telling you, I loved my counselor and he did everything he could. He gave me so many passes for SATs. He did everything he could, but he also had like 200 other kids.
Well, yes. And here's the thing. They're not expecting us to do it on our own because most people have parents that understand it, or that at least know where to look and how to ask. Like, one of the biggest culture shocks I had, and I think you all were talking a little bit about this at the start of our conversation, when you go out of the valley and you see the access that other people have. I attended a private boarding school for the last 2 years of high school, and I was like, oh, your parents are checking your essays for you. Right? And like, there was incredible wealth and there were so many things that were shocking, but I think that one stood out to me the most, where I was like, you mean you can just call your parents and they tell you if your thesis sounds good? Like, I don't think my parents would begin to understand. Like, I'd have to explain the whole assignment and like my class, and then catch them up on everything before I could even start and translate it. Right? Like, it's such a process. They're not expecting, we're not supposed to do it on our own. And then if you add the piece of counselors in there, our counselors are so overworked, especially in Texas as a state. They just have a huge caseload, and much of their work is not even focused on the things that they want to be doing, right? It's scheduling, it's logistics, and it should be, hey, I want to go to college. How do I make that happen? And unfortunately, it's not that that's the expectation for everyone. It's what we have to do here. And I think that's what motivates a lot of our work. And it's also what's motivating us having these conversations, right? Because I think the more that people hear, like, oh, I shouldn't have had to do that. Like, that's not how it was supposed to work. Oh, the taxes is a legit thing. My kid actually needs them.
Yeah.
That will actually help, move things forward. And hopefully in 10, 15 years, we don't have as many of these stories of kids having to figure it out.
Give your kids your income taxes. I'm looking at you right there directly, Cameron.
It's legit.
It's legit. They're not trying to steal your identity. They came out of you. So give them the income taxes so they can figure it out. I mean, it was such a struggle with my dad. My dad literally legit, I don't know what he thought. I think he thought I was going to like clone his social security number. I was like, your credit is not good, dude. Like, just give it to me. Like, I just need to get money to get out of here.
It's an inherent skepticism, right? It's this, we've been scammed so many times. You're talking about your dad as a union member. He's used to looking for the scam. Yeah. Right? And that's part of the difficulty in it. So psychology, law, how do we get business from that?
That was me.
I married a crazy lady. So.
I went out and I worked in the field for a little bit. I worked for the state of Texas, and then I worked for foster care agency. And then I decided I wanted to start my own thing. And I think I had kind of always had that itch. I had like a cupcake business when I was younger, and then that flopped. And
you were ahead of your time.
Yeah.
She was.
Yeah. Thanks. I tried.
Well, no, I'm thinking of like the sprinkles vending machine.
This was before all that. And then I tried to do, this was like when blogging started. Yes. So I had a blog. I tried to make money off of that. And then I got bored and I let that go. Mm-hmm. And then I started JZD, and I started it on Etsy, super tiny. And this was in 2016. Mm-hmm. And I started with the Latina Power shirt. Listed it. Back then, we didn't have any equipment. We didn't have anything. So
what'd you make the first one out of?
I outsourced it. So I worked with a local screen printer. I called every single screen printer in the area. Okay. What's the minimum? Because with screen printing, you have to do a certain amount. And I found one that I think the minimum was like 15.
It was 12.
12. Which is rare.
Which is not a thing.
Because usually it's like 30.
Oh, wow.
But this was also like 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. And so this guy printed 12 shirts for me. And I kept one. Vero kept one. My mom kept one. So really, we only had 9 shirts to sell. And I listed them on Etsy. And it did well. People started buying them. And people started commenting on it. And then I started focusing on social media. And this was when it was a little bit easier to grow on social media. And so it kind of just slowly started to build. Mm-hmm. And it really came from this was the 2016 election time. Yeah. And it came from a point of fear and helplessness and anger. There were so many mixed emotions. Yeah. And I didn't really think that a shirt that said Latina Power was going to mean as much as it meant to me and to Vero. And it did. And people started messaging and being like, thanks for creating this. Or I wore this to a coffee shop in Washington and somebody else came up to me and said, I'm Latina too. Where do you work? And so I realized that it started building community.
Connections and
It sparked a conversation.
And I sat down with her and she was still working. And I told her, I was like, I think I'm onto something. I think that, again, because we live in a bubble, right? Everybody here, or the majority of us, are Latinos. The majority of us are brown. The majority of us speak Spanish. When you go to a coffee shop, when you go to Walmart, everybody looks like us.
It's the default.
Exactly. But for other people, it's not like that. And if I was feeling all of these emotions, how were other people that were surrounded by people that didn't speak their language and didn't have those same experiences, didn't have those same traumas that we grow up with, how were they feeling? They felt what I felt, magnified. And so we sat down, we were living in our first little apartment, and I told her, I was like, we're onto something. There is potential here because we all feel this way, and we are all craving safety, community. And it wasn't a thing back then. Like small businesses, e-commerce businesses that were focusing on empowering the Latino community were not a thing.
Yeah.
And so from there on, I started creating everything in Spanish. And I tested it. I created shirts in Spanish and in English. English never performed.
Flopped.
Every single time. It flopped.
Whoa.
And I was like, I'm right. Like, it's not just
She
Yeah.
needed
a
to prove
fluke.
it to herself.
Yeah, I was like, it's not just a fluke. People actually want this.
Yeah.
And it started growing little by little, little by little. We're by no means an overnight success. Like,
None.
nothing happened quickly.
Honestly,
Everything was
It's
snail pace.
yeah, it kind of like irks me a little bit when people are like, "Oh, you're an overnight success." Nope. There's a lot of hungry nights. There's a lot of days that we didn't know we were gonna have a home to live in. This took time. This took work. It wasn't just like, oh, I woke up with an idea. Let's go and do it. Let's go be viral. Nope. Took a
Well,
long time.
You all were really pioneers in this space. And to address, right, like, I think the reason that I came across this page in the first place was because I was in New York during the 2016 elections. I was at college at a predominantly white institution, and it is a really tough experience. And I was lucky that we had a really strong Mexican American community on campus, and we had a lot of support within ourselves. But I do think that experience of feeling like, oh, this is very different when I'm home and we all kind of agree that this is terrible, versus when I'm here and I'm having to explain to you in class, in the dorm room, in these spaces that, you know, my humanity matters fundamentally.
Yeah.
And I saw y'all's growth, right? And you're right. It didn't seem, at least to those of us who kind of get it, that it was overnight.
Yeah.
But I think what has happened is that it was really, really slow for a while, like exponential, right? And then within the past couple of years, y'all really have had a lot more opportunities and visibility that I think have provided this illusion that it happened suddenly if you hadn't been following along for the journey.
Yeah.
Right? So what have you all learned through this process of building a business in Brownsville, and really keeping, I think what this is, it's a very niche audience in some ways. So I'm curious about some of the lessons you've learned from that.
That was our biggest struggle.
Yeah.
Like the word niche.
You say it. You say
I'm
it.
sorry,
No.
you recoiled.
No.
No,
Like,
literally, because it was like,
I
no.
didn't mean it in a bad
No,
way.
no, I know.
No,
But
it's not a
when
bad
we
thing.
first started out, it was every time we pitched the business to anybody, that's too niche. That's too niche.
That's not gonna work.
That's not gonna work. Why are you wasting
Why
your
is
time?
it just
That's
for
too niche.
women?
Why is it only for Latinas?
That's too niche.
Like, first of all, we're a huge market.
Yeah.
No, but the
$1 billion market.
but the fact that they were so ignorant to that, like, Jen and I didn't just start, especially Jen, because I was there for the ride, but this is hers. I have to give her her flowers. The blueprint, everything was done by her. We both experienced the fear and everything that was happening in 2016. We both had, you know, those emotions, but it's like, you really think that we just went and we're like, oh, we're just gonna make the shirt and that's it. No, like, of course, she looked up so many, studies, everything that was out there to be able to see, like, what does the market need?
Mm-hmm.
What is happening in the market right now?
Yeah.
Not just what's happening in the world, but who's spending money? How are we spending money? Who's making these decisions? And the fact that every single time that we went and we were like, hey, we are growing, we need funds.
Especially as we started to scale, behind the scenes, we were growing. And it didn't appear yet, like,
On the outside.
we hadn't gotten these huge partnerships that we've had since gotten. But I knew they were coming. I knew what we were on track for.
Mm-hmm.
And we were not financially ready for that. Like, if somebody came knocking at our door and was like, I want to partner with you, I knew what that was going to look like.
And it did happen.
And it did happen. I knew that
You
if
had to miss out on an opportunity.
somebody was going to come in and say, here's the PO, I was going to have to dish out $500,000 or $1 million, because the factory is not going to create anything until you pay them.
Yep.
And the retailer is not going to pay you until it's sold. So with a product-based business, you are in limbo for months, sometimes years.
Yeah. You needed the capital up front.
Yeah.
And every time I approached anybody that I saw that could potentially help me, it was, that's too niche. Not interested, that's too niche.
Talk to
You're
me when you
wasting your
have
time.
things for both women and men.
Yeah. Why aren't you
Well, first of
targeting
all, the shirts
everybody? Why aren't you
can be worn
targeting
by
everybody?
everyone.
Yeah.
Yes, that was our point. It was
But
like,
it was a lot of like, this can only be worn by the Latino community. And I was like, the Latino community is $1 trillion economic powerhouse. And women are making the decision in the household. Like, this is
Yeah.
the perfect
Group to
group.
target.
Like, what are you talking about? But this was before even corporate America had caught up to the fact that we were such big decision makers and that we had so much economic power. Like, we are contributing so much money to this
Yeah.
country and to this world.
Yep.
And so that's why we were like, niche.
yeah, that's what it is. It wasn't you. 'Cause
It wasn't you.
It's a wonderful
just like
word.
we've
It's just,
heard.
Well, it's also
And we are a niche business.
I think that that's part of its power, right? It's
Yeah.
that I know if I'm looking for something that represents my experience, my life, like I got my nieces and nephews all the cool like my tia shirt because I'm the coolest tia and they need to know.
Yeah.
And I know that you all are the place to go for that. And that's what that word means to me, right?
Yeah.
And it's also, I think, again, if you're not from here, you understand the power in finding those spaces that are for you, right? And that are built specifically with you in mind.
Yep.
Not everything should be for everyone.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's one of the lessons that we've learned, is to kind of make peace with the fact that we don't want to be for everybody. It was never my intention to be for everybody. And till this day, it is not my intention to be for everybody. I am totally okay with a white person not buying my shirt. That is okay. That is okay. You can go shop at Hollister. It's cool. Not going to hold a grudge. But also, there is so many allies. Just like, because we create items for the LGBT community, that doesn't mean that if you are not part of the community, you can't wear it. So we've created shirts that say "Bien supportive,"
That was the first
Bien
shirt I
gay?
bought from y'all, by the way.
and it till this day is one of our biggest hits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we were like, okay, so we're going to create this Bien Gay, but there is so many allies that want to be allies, that they want to proudly show that they are an ally. And so in a way, we have catered to other people that are still
Part
our
of
people.
Yeah. Community,
You know,
yeah.
that I want them in my space. I want them.
want to protect our community.
Exactly. Because we need them, right? We need allies, and we also need white allies that protect the Latino community. That is okay too. But I think one of the lessons that we learned is that, and then I think the biggest lesson that we've kind of learned in the past few years is not everybody deserves access to our community.
Yeah.
And we've learned that the hard way.
Unfortunately, but yeah.
Not everybody deserves access to our
Can
community.
you speak more on what that means or what that looks like?
We are a beautiful, beautiful community. And it is a privilege for people to share our culture. And corporate America, big box stores, huge corporations, they want to tap into that and they want access. And a lot of the times, because unfortunately they don't have people of color in the highest positions, they don't do it authentically. And it doesn't come through. So for example, you go to Target. and you see a mug that says bonita, but there's nothing to it. It just has the word bonita on it
Yeah.
because some white person said, oh, they love to be called bonitas. And so there's no meaning behind the products that they are putting on their shelves. And we are now at a point where corporate America, big box companies, huge companies have caught on to our power. And so they want to do anything they can to tap in. And a lot of the time, that means using our stories for profit.
And I imagine there's using them for profit and not contributing anything back or not anything substantial.
Not having the values that align well with ours. For example, we launched with Target for Hispanic Heritage Month. And when you put it from a financial point of view, the amount of money that we made in comparison to the amount of money they made.
A drop in the bucket.
Exactly.
Nothing.
And we thought it was this like, oh my gosh, such great opportunity. Until this day, you know, that partnership went smoothly. That part. Through the process. We were midway through the process of launching with Hispanic Heritage Month. Yeah. They said, we also want to work with you for Pride the following year.
We were the perfect. And, you know, I don't like saying it, but it's the truth. And we were blinded because you have to realize that I come from absolutely nothing. Nothing. There was no expectation of me to do anything aside from being an attorney without any help. But there was like no weight that this was going to be my life.
Yeah.
Jen, I mean, not that she doesn't come from anything. She has great parents, supportive parents, but we come from very humble beginnings.
Yeah.
So when Target comes knocking at your door,
it's so exciting. I'm
it's
sure.
Like, dude, they want us. Yeah. And then they tell you, wow, your story is so beautiful. Your story is this. Oh, you're gay too? You're married? And I'm thinking, wow, these people are great.
Yeah.
They think that we're great. Like, I mean, mind you, I come from, like, my parents disowned me because I'm gay. They were like, I'll have everything else except a gay kid. So when all of a sudden these people start telling you, I accept you. I love who you are. I love what you're doing. I love your accent. I love the Spanglish. I love that you married this beautiful woman. And then I'm like, wow, they like us. This is my experience. I was like, wow, great. You know? But then you realize all they saw were money signs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just saw dollar signs.
For that Pride partnership was so important for us because it was the first time that we got to blend
both
our
things.
Queerness and our Latinidad in one product, in
Just
one collaboration.
Pride collection.
And
That's
it was
so cool.
Amazing. Like, it was supposed to be amazing. And it was just a money grab for our story. And now that we're out of it, I realize that, I mean, we were on so many meetings where it was like, can you tell me your coming out story and tell me exactly what happened and Vero's coming out story, and like and these were meetings where like Vero was in tears talking about the coming out story, and they were building out these like decks on how it was gonna be the story we were gonna tell, and all it was like huge
Exploitation central.
We made a whole commercial where Vero was the voice of the commercial, and it was a coming out story, and it was like, what in your culture, what does that look like, and what do you eat, and what do you listen to it? They wanted to know everything about us.
Yeah.
Culture-wise. They wanted to know every feeling we felt, when, at what time, why, every single sense of who we were.
Yeah.
And then they pulled the collection.
I remember seeing y'all talk about this.
And then, like, the crisis PR team, that people we had never met before. Never. Mind you, we've been working with Target at this point for like 2 years.
Yeah.
Never met them before. They get on the Zoom call only after TMZ is trying to get a hold of the story.
Yeah, they're like literally on our phones talking to our PR team. Can they get it on live TV in 5 minutes?
An exclusive. So they finally like get back to us, and they, like, it was a terrible Zoom call where they did not care about us.
Yeah.
They had absolutely no intention of ever caring about us or the community. And this collection, was supposed to be for our community. They were supposed to walk into these stores and feel seen.
Yeah.
And the backlash that came from it was the worst part, because there was so much backlash that affected us. Like, Vero was seeing these things and she was being affected. And she is a 30-year-old woman that has been out for years and is fully confident in who she is. Mm-hmm. Imagine how a 13-year-old kid that was barely starting to figure out who they were see that. Yeah. All of a sudden, they feel
I can't like do that.
I can't do that. I'm not safe. Everybody, everything that they're saying about them, they're going to say about me.
Yeah. It went from what Jen and I were trying to do with this collection, because we were aware. I think that I was more naive than Jen. My whole thing was, we are giving these children, these young adults, these youngins, mm-hmm. we're letting them see that we grow up.
Yeah.
And we're okay. And your gay auntie, or your, those people that are like, oh, a ellos no les hables, ellos les va a ir mal, ellos no van a tener familia. What we were doing was like, you get to see, look at us.
It's
we're
like
we're successful.
Like it gets better.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, that was exactly what it was. It gets better. You keep on doing what you have to do. Survive school, survive middle school, survive high school. You're not going to be there forever.
Yeah.
It's going to get better. You're going to be so successful. Look at us.
And especially because we're older, so we grew up in a different time. And I was talking to Vero about this a couple of days ago. But seeing older gay people when I was younger
was a rarity.
Was so strange. Like, for some reason, in my little teenage head, I could not see what an older gay person, an established gay person would look like.
Yeah.
Because I'd never seen it.
Well, it's part of the history of the U.S., right? And the history of our communities is how ravaged the community got by AIDS and the AIDS crisis made it so that, like, the community lost elders.
Yes.
Yeah.
For years. And you all are coming in as the new elders, right? As the new group. And, Vero, I want to circle back to this excitement you felt, because I don't think it's naive, right? I think it is that these corporations, these spaces feel like such an honor to be in, right? Or such they recognize the work we're doing. And a lot of us just want to be recognized and be seen, because we feel like we've worked so hard to get here. And our students experience this in different ways, right? But sometimes I tell them they get so excited to be accepted into a school, for example. And I'm like, the honor is theirs, right? We quote Du Bois here, and we're like, the honor was Harvard's, because we bring so much into these spaces. We are doing them a favor by being there, sharing our stories, sharing our voices. And that's unfortunately something you may not get until you get that perspective and that harm, right? That idea of, like, Michelle Obama talks about this, and I always find it really funny, but she's like, I sat in rooms full of very dumb people at the institutions I was in, right? And when you get there, you realize, oh, it's the Wizard of Oz. It's smoke and mirrors.
Yes.
It's not real. Mm-hmm. And I often feel like, because people talk about, like, imposter syndrome, for example, and all these things, I'm like, y'all don't understand, these companies are the imposters, right?
Yes.
They're the ones that are faking it the whole way through.
Yes.
And that part of this story, I think, is so important to share with our community, right? Yeah. Like, this is what you are worth. This is how you should approach these situations, because they're lucky to have you.
Yeah,
exactly.
We know that now.
We know that now, and Jen and I, all we do is talk, but we talk about it often, and I wish, and it goes back to, I am so glad that these children, that this youth that's coming up, that they're getting so much help and so many avenues of like discussions of what could happen, or what. I wish somebody could have told us that. Mm-hmm. It is their honor. Yep. It is their honor. They came knocking at our door. I didn't go looking for them.
Yep.
They came and they saw two little brown lesbians, and they were like, I like
two
that.
for one.
Yeah. No, literally, they were like, that story, I like it.
Money.
But I didn't have to go and offer myself.
Yeah.
And it's because we have this mentality, like, it's always like, ay, qué bueno que me vieron. Gracias a Dios. Let me not, when we were negotiating for them to pay us, it was,
honestly, I think that's when my, like, negotiating
anxiety
started, because it was, Vero was like, we deserve more. And I, unfortunately, from a scarcity mindset, was like, we should be lucky that they.
Yeah,
What
her
if
thing
what
was,
if they completely back out? Like, what if we ask for too much and they're like, I'm just gonna go talk to somebody else? And I was like, I don't want to lose this massive opportunity.
her thing was like, we're gonna piss them off,
Yeah.
and they're gonna go with somebody else. And I was like,
Who else?
but again, it goes. I was just being delusional. Like
Yeah.
I was not. This confidence was not because like my parents backed me up or because others told me. It was just, I know how hard I work. I know how hard I work, and if I work hard, she's working harder.
Mm-hmm.
So when they came and they gave us percentages, I was like, no, you don't. It was like, that is not. And even then, I still feel like it was not enough.
Yeah.
It was obviously not enough. But we had another team that we were talking to, and they themselves also were like, no, I think Vero's wrong. We shouldn't be asking for more. Like, I would put my head on the pillow and I'd be like, I am going to, can I curse on here?
Yeah.
I'm gonna fuck this up for us. I was very aware, but I was like, I'm too far in to back out now. So we demand for more. We shoot for the moon, land in the stars.
Yeah.
And it worked out.
It worked out.
It
We ended
worked
up.
out
I mean,
every time,
obviously they
actually.
negotiated back, and we negotiated for a long time. But it now Vero's still better at it than me. But now we know our worth, and more than that, we know how impactful it is to get in touch with our community.
Yeah.
That's all they want.
They want the
They
access.
want, and you know why they want to get in touch with the community? Because they want their money.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
They want to be able to say the Latino community feels safe here and they're shopping here. And now Target pulled all their DEI initiatives. They are no longer working with small-owned businesses. They're no longer working with queer-owned businesses, Black-owned businesses,
They
Latino-owned
went
businesses.
back to white people making their stuff, and that's why their stuff looks like it looks. That's
So what are your new criteria for who you give access to, if that's something that you all
Yeah.
feel comfortable sharing?
Yeah. So for starters, we're way better at reading contracts.
Good.
That's one. Two, we have like introductory calls longer than one call. And why? We ask these questions. Why do you want access to the community? How do you want access to the community? When do you want access to the community? And what happens after?
What are
you
your
get access
plans?
to the community?
I like that last
Because
one
a lot of the times it's just like, for us, Hispanic Heritage Month and Pride Month, in the retail world, they're called special moments.
Mhm.
And so a lot of the times they just want to bring you on for a special moment, which is just a collection that lives for 30 days.
Yeah.
Hispanic Heritage Month or Pride Month. And of course, these are important months, especially now, that we need to continue to create for and that we need to continue to emphasize, elevate. But we are Latinas all year long.
Yep.
We are gay people all year long.
long.
So
Yeah.
does a Pride collection need to empower the LGBT community only in June? Or can it be all year round? And so a lot of the times is, for example, we had a collection with Brooks. And that was a beautiful collection where we worked with a beautiful team, where we had a lot of creative freedom. We got to select, our photographer was a Latina woman
That's awesome.
that we had worked with before in the past, who I know her values align with ours. Our entire model roster was Latino
Latinos.
and LGBT. And they're beautiful people whose values I know align with ours. Everybody that we got the opportunity to give an opportunity to work with Brooks, we pitched a person of color and an LGBT person.
Yeah.
And given even that freedom was something we had never had before. When we worked with partnerships in the past, it was like, here's your photographer, here's your makeup artist, here's your model. That's it. You don't get to pick. It's just what it is. And Brooks gave us the opportunity to select every person that we
That's
worked
amazing.
with, which was such a privilege. And we had the opportunity to give jobs to people from our community that I know wanted to be in that space. So we got to create this amazing opportunity. And then they opened their doors to us in their Seattle store. And they were like, what do you need so that this feels like home? And I was like, yeah, we're hiring a mariachi. Does Seattle even have mariachis? And they
We
were like,
found
we will
mariachi.
get you a
That's
mariachi.
awesome. There's mariachi everywhere, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
We had never been to Seattle prior to working with Brooks. And
Yeah.
then they know we like coffee. So we're like, we're going to bring in coffee house. It was a Latino queer owned coffee house that was in that space.
It was a beautiful
it was,
event.
yeah, they were like, we're bringing catering. We're obviously doing Mexican food. It was a Latino owned catering that brought in. And even that, which I know it doesn't sound insane, right? Like, of course, you're going to have a Latino model wearing shoes that are for the Latino community, but that's not always the case.
Yeah. No.
And making sure that these partners that we have actually care about the community before, during, and after. And so what is the impact after? I know you're trying to reach that community, but then what are you going to do when you have that community, and how are you going to take care of them?
Yeah.
And so those are conversations that now we know how to have. Aside from the fact that now we can also say, if shit goes bad, how are you handling it?
Yeah.
Because if
Those
we get
are our first
backlash,
conversations.
that's the first thing we did with actually Brooks. We were in the middle of talking to Brooks when shit went bad with Target, and our main contact at Brooks that same day sent me an email and sent us an email and said, I see what's going on. I want you to know that nothing is changing for us. We are still going to work with you. Mind you, we were also talking with Walmart. They dropped us. But
Walmart said,
Brooks,
you guys are damaged goods.
yes.
Bye.
Fresh faces.
They needed fresh faces.
But Brooks was like, nothing is changing. And they flew us out to Seattle, and we went out to lunch, and they were like, what did they do wrong? What can we do better?
That's a magic question.
Exactly.
It's actually taught in I've heard it in interviews. Like when people are hiring someone, it's what made you leave your previous job and how can we improve it?
Yeah.
Because it is such a powerful thing to understand that people make mistakes sometimes, and sometimes people act poorly on purpose. And regardless, we have to address it if we want to move forward and do things better.
Yeah.
And I think I love the questions that you've come up with in terms of guiding those conversations, because they can be translated to any area, right? It's not just in business, but if you're approaching, my context is always education, and we have students who get acceptances, get offers from schools, and we've taught them, this is a little known fact, but you can negotiate your financial aid.
I did not know that.
You can show up and say, hey, I know you want me, but this other school also really wants me, and they're giving me more money. And I would like to go to your school, but I can't afford to go to your school. Can you match? And most of the time they can, because these are schools with billion-dollar endowments. They have $3,000 to give you. They're just not putting it out there at the first start, because they're going to try and get you for the least amount they can get you.
Yeah.
Right. And so this translates in any space. We also encourage our students, sometimes they apply for QuestBridge, for example, and that's a program where you have to rank schools. And oftentimes they want to go based off of purely like, what does the U.S. News and World Report say about these schools? Like, well, are you going to be happy in Boston in the winter? Like, is that something you want?
Yeah.
And it's that feeling of not being able to choose because you feel like you're lucky to get it. And then the other component of that is the bringing other people up with you when you have that opportunity. One of my favorite quotes is, the shortened abridged version of it is, lift as you climb, right? As you get access to these spaces, are you allowed to bring others with you, right? Because that's an essential piece of how our whole community can move forward. And looking for the spaces that will allow that is also so important, right? Like I've been going through it with my alma mater for reasons. But one of the things that I originally looked at when I was picking schools was, do I feel like I can make a difference here or through this, right? Will they let me be myself? Will they let me bring others along in that process? And at the time, and we live and we learn. At the time, I felt like it was that. But these are all such important lessons that I'm glad you all are here to share with us, so that hopefully other people don't have to go through it as hard in whatever area they're in, right? Because it applies in business, but it applies elsewhere too, right? And even in your personal lives, even in other educational spaces, like these are still the principles. Are they looking out for you now, tomorrow, and in the long run?
Yeah.
I'm going to pivot us a little bit to a question we ask our students when they start working with us as part of their little mini application. And I've been enjoying asking our guests as well, which is, how do you define progress?
I think that it all depends on what you in your perfect life, your dream life, who are you?
Mm-hmm.
And if you are taking steps to become that person that you know you can be, if you had all the resources that you needed and you had all of the access to the education that you wanted, the dream jobs that you're looking for, if you're clear on that, what steps are you taking every single day to become that person? And if you are getting even 1 inch closer, then I think that's progress. And I don't think it's linear. I think it shifts, and I think it changes often.
Yeah.
And I also think that your dream person changes often. And I think that's why progress is never ending. And it's a journey. So I think
it's progress is really a choice. It's you choosing every day to get up and keep on working for what you want, whatever that may be. You know, kids are young right now, but you get stuck. I guess you get to like your 20s and you're like, what am I doing? Is this really what I'm supposed to be doing? For me, being 21 and not having graduated college yet, I was like, I am already behind everybody else. And it made me feel like I was not progressing. I was stuck. I was like, I am not doing anything with my life. But I made a choice. I said, you know what? However long this is going to take me, I have to do it, and I'm going to figure it out. And here we are now. So I think it's a choice. It's you choosing every single day to wake up and to just keep on trying. If today all you could do was pick a class or do your homework for that one class, then you already did something, and that's progress.
Yeah.
That's what it is to me.
Those are beautiful definitions. We've gotten a lot of perspectives on this, both from our students and from our guests. And I think there's a lot of common threads, right? I like this, it's a choice. It's a small movement forward, right? It doesn't have to be so big. I think often we're stuck in these definitions of progress that are like, we have to be lightning years ahead. You have to take leaps. And it's not that, right? At its core, it's a small but steady movement forward in the direction that you set out for yourself too. The other thing we sometimes hear is like, I was working and progressing towards an expectation that wasn't mine, right? And so that I think is very important and powerful. Thinking of that, what advice would you give your younger selves? That's loaded.
I think one, I would tell myself to chill out. Just chill.
Yeah.
And it's okay if we don't figure it out all at once. I think when I was younger, especially, I needed things to be perfect. It's like, I can't do that until it's perfect. Or like, now I look back, like our first pictures that I posted on social media, and I'm like, what was I thinking? But at the time, I was like, it has to be perfect. And now that I know more, I'm like, that was not perfect. But even then, it took me so long to just get started because I needed it to be perfect. And how was I going to launch it if it wasn't perfect? And now I'm like, just start.
Yeah.
I think it's never going to be perfect. And instead of waiting for the perfect moment, you just need to make that moment the perfect moment. And figure it out as you go. I mean, we've been in business for almost 10 years, and every day I'm still learning new things. Yeah. Every day there's still a new challenge that we've never faced before that I'm still having to go on Google and be like, how am I supposed to handle this? Or, reach out. Yeah. I always tell Vero, I like to surround us with people that are smarter than us. It makes me feel better. It makes me feel at peace. And I'm fully aware of the fact that I am not a pro at everything. Mm-hmm. And so if I don't feel like that is an area of strength for me, then I'm going to find somebody that is. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to find somebody that is, and I'm going to trust them fully, after vetting them, of course.
Yeah.
To help me make the decisions that I know are important and that will trickle into something else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think I would just tell myself to chill out and not worry about everything being perfect and just starting and just do it.
Yeah. Just do it.
It's a great slogan for a reason.
I was going to say that's trademarked.
Yeah, sure is.
Just get started.
Just get started. For me, I think I would just tell myself that you don't need anybody's approval. just do it for yourself. You know, stop waiting around. And you're young and you're waiting for mom or for dad or for a teacher to tell you you're doing great or the path that you've decided is a good path. You know best. Sometimes you just know best on your own. And
It only has to make sense to you.
it only has to make sense to you. Yeah, because it honestly, sometimes I think back to all the things that I wanted to accomplish or that I wanted to do. Just I can still accomplish, right? And
You have plenty of
I
time.
have plenty of time. But I don't wish that my life would have gone any differently because of where I am. I think that I am exactly where I was supposed to be. Do I wish things would have been easier? Yes. But I also feel like I can go ahead and put the blame on a lot of things that I wasn't able to do on my circumstances, on my parents, on my home life. But I also think that it was me trying to wait for approval, for them to be like, you know what, I am proud of you. Go ahead and do that. And it was, and again, you can't ask a teenager to be like, just don't care. Do whatever you want. It's tough, but I feel like that would be my main thing. Stop waiting for everybody's approval. Stop worrying about what they're going to think of you. Stop worrying about who you're going to disappoint. Because you know what? This life is long. And people are going to be disappointed. It just has to make sense to you. And you also have to figure out who is actually worth you worrying about disappointing them.
Yeah.
Because not everybody is worth it.
Yeah.
If Trump comes and tells me right now I'm disappointed, and he'll be like, you know what? Let me do some more. Let me do some more to disappoint.
I'm glad you are.
I'm glad
sure
you're
disappointed in you.
That is exactly what I wanted to do. But you know, it's all these things that with the young mind, you can't grasp it. You still don't have the tools to understand everything that's going on around you. So yeah, hindsight is 2020. That would be my advice.
Yeah, both of those hit. So I'm also processing, but we talk to our students a lot about this and a lot about expectations, and especially because they're picking majors and they're picking careers, and half of the tears we see are because they're like, I don't know what I'm gonna do and I don't know what I want to do. And so
unfair.
this question is designed because I also think that they need to hear that we didn't know it at the time either, right? And we didn't have it figured out. And a lot of us are visionaries, and our community may not see that or understand it yet, right? And what seemed like a crazy idea in 2016 is a phenomenal business, right? Would seem like maybe the wrong move or the delayed move is actually a huge part of the path. And it's just a matter of, hey, you got to wait it out sometimes, and you got to get through the muck and the struggle, and eventually you'll see the picture. But trust those instincts, right? Trust what you like, trust what you feel at your core. This will be our closing question. I want to end on a positive, happy note. What gives you hope right now? And whether that's personally, professionally, or for our community's future?
Right now, it's Greta Thunberg.
She's so cool.
She's my idol.
The way I am obsessing over her right now. I think that in a time like today, it's really hard to sometimes see hope. And I think because of the field that we're in and the pieces we're creating and the conversations we're having and the things we're trying to move forward, there's so much pushback. There's pushback when you're trying to do new things to support the LGBT community. There's pushback when you're trying to access new doors because they're like, not right now. Can't do that right now.
Yeah.
But then you see Greta Thunberg and everything how fearless she is. And I don't know that that's the right word. And I don't know that she would use that word to describe herself. They actually called her a hero. And she was like, I am not a hero.
Nope.
This is the bare minimum. And there is so much bad. And yet there is a 22-year-old that is taking it upon herself and saying, I will do it in hopes that others will follow. And they have, right? Like this is like the biggest, Fleticia? I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. But she gives me hope because I see how strong she is and I see how much she is putting on her shoulders in the hopes of making change. And I think that is impactful and it's amazing to see. I worry for her. I lose sleep over her. But she gives me hope. And I also think that there is so many people taking it back to the Valley. There is so many people in our community right now that are mobilizing. And we may not see it all the time, but they are mobilizing so much. And they are trying so hard to make sure that we have safe spaces, to make sure that there's people fighting on the ground for our rights, for our safety. That gives me hope. There are so many organizations that Vero and I like to support that we know are doing the groundwork. They give me hope. And we do our best to support them in any way that we can, so that, because I know that they are trying and I know that they are doing it in the best interests of our community. And so they give me hope. They give me hope for the Valley. And yeah, I think people give me hope.
People doing good work.
People doing good
work.
things.
Yeah. I think this youth is, I see our young girls in our team, social media manager, her assistant, and I see what they stand for and I see their grit. And I'm like, to be 20 and 22 right now, you know, like,
They're so passionate.
They're so passionate. And I know we're living in some scary times and some crazy things, you know, but I think because of this youth, we're going to be okay.
Yeah.
It's going to take us some time.
Yeah.
But I also feel like they're doing everything that they can to be educated, to do things right. They have morals, they have ethics.
Yeah.
Which is more to say for the people that are running the country. So, and that just goes to show you, like, the youth is thinking that they have to be aware of who they are, of what they do, of the consequences of the things that they do. So that gives me hope. You know, in our type of business and what we do and what we stand for, it's really difficult to turn off our brain. It's really difficult to not watch the news. It's difficult to not doom scroll on TikTok and be like, oh my gosh, this is getting terrible. But in all that, you're also seeing how they're standing up. They're not staying quiet. They're speaking up. They're doing what they have to do in their universities. They're having, you know, they're challenging people of authority. So yeah.
There's a quote, I cannot, it's like escape, I don't know who says it, but they said, look for somebody.
Look for the helpers?
Look for the helpers.
Mr. Rogers.
Yes.
Mr. Rogers.
There are so many helpers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so that, I think that's what, and it goes from not just like the 20-year-olds, the teenagers, like even in our nieces and our nephew.
They're so cool.
I see them and I'm like, you know what, guys, you got this.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna, and them, they're so cool because they have Jen and I as their aunts. But like, even for them as children, I feel like they have such a privilege to have lesbian aunts.
Yeah.
And it's like, to them, it's just normal.
Yep.
Like, what do you mean? This is weird that my aunts are holding hands, or that they give themselves a kiss, or that we hang out with them. Like, what is, you know, so like, I'm just like, you guys, you kids are so freaking lucky that this is your norm. Like this love to you is literally just love.
Yeah.
So that gives me a lot of hope.
Yeah.
And it helps me sleep at night.
The helpers and the young people, like that's very similar to what we hold dear. And I'm in a doctoral program and I'm one of the youngest people, and I'm frequently being like, you're not allowed to talk bad about young people around me, because you don't get it, you don't understand, and they're so phenomenal in everything they're doing, right? Yeah. And I think that that's something that we see a lot in our work. I see what incredible dreams and visions for our country, for our world, young people have, and how they want to become helpers, right? They want
Yes.
to become these people that are doing the thing, and some of them are not waiting to do it. They're already in it. And I think it's just a matter of, continuing to support that and continuing to see that and to defend it. Because I also think of, I was a very passionate 16-year-old sharing my views and thinking about what I was saying. And it felt really lonely at the time.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for the few adults who were seeing it and saying, yes, keep going in this direction. This is the right way to do it. Thank you all so much for joining us today. I am so happy and honored to have you all here sharing a piece of your story. We'd like to leave our audience with a practical thing at the end of our episode. So I'm going to say for this one, it's go start the thing that you've been procrastinating on, that you've been dreaming about, that you just feel like is not good enough or not perfect, and just get started.
Yes.
Because you have time to figure it out as you go. Get going on it. And thank you all for joining us for another episode, and we hope to see you next time. Thank you all so much for watching this podcast and following along with us. If you really liked it, please feel free to subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, anywhere that you might be listening to this. And if you want more information about the work that we do, you can go to realprogress.org, or you can follow us on socials at Real Progress.